Hi everybody. I did a video yesterday and decided not to use it. I don't know, I just didn't care for what I'd done on there. But I wanted to, before I get into the subject, which is a little at a time and then all at once, I did want to mention, I told a friend of mine by email last night that I had discovered, I think, what is wrong with Sebastian. And it is not good. If you looked at the video yesterday with the chickens, you see him stretching his neck and, swallowing and raising his head up high, like he can't swallow. Well, he spends a lot of time laying on the floor under the nest boxes, just in the back corner. Instead of standing up with his girls, he spends a lot of time on the floor. And he was under there, and usually when I say, hey Bash, he'll jump up and come up to the door. Well, this time he didn't, and he's done this a couple of times. And so I go in the pen and I go toward him, and because it was time to put him up on the roost for the night, and he usually is at the door waiting for me to get him and pick him up there, because he can go up there, but I think his legs are a little stiff at his age, and he doesn't want to. If he didn't have to, he don't want to make any jumps, even though the jump is like less than a foot high. So anyway, I called him. He didn't come out. I went back there and I reached in there and I pet him. I said, "Come on, let's go to bed." And he just didn't do anything. And finally, I reached to pick him up. I was putting my hands on him, and he stood up really quick, and he turned, and then he just fell over. He fell down. Or he tripped, or he's weak and he made a sudden movement and fell. And I said, "Oh, baby," so I pick him up. He is my baby, okay? So sue me. This is the best rooster, sweetest rooster I've ever had, and I've had a lot of really nice roosters. So I picked him up, and he's doing this thing with his throat, and so I'm rubbing him under his where his wattles, the things under the chin. And there's a little piece of skin that comes down here on the neck, and I'm rubbing him right there, and all of a sudden I feel something, and it's not in his crop, it's not lower, it's up in his throat. It feels like a marble, like a medium-sized marble, not one of the great big ones, but the next size, the regular size marbles. And I'm doing like this I was trying to soothe his throat and just rub it, and I felt that, and it moves up and down. I can't really put my fingers around it, but it exactly, because I choke him probably, but it moves up and down. And I said, "Oh no," because first I thought you had something stuck, and I remembered my 12-year-old Delaware hen Georgie, right before she died, probably a year before she died. In her crop there was what I thought was always food left, but it wasn't. It was a tumor. She had a crop tumor in there, and it never grew to the point that it blocked off the opening where the food leaves the crop, and it never really interfered with her digesting her food, thankfully. But it was definitely a tumor, and it was a good sized tumor. It was growing as she got older. Of course, she was 12 years old and she died. Well, I'm thinking he probably has a small tumor in his esophagus. There's nothing I can do about that. I mean, there's nothing. All my battery's running out. Hang on. Okay, so I don't know if it's a cyst or if it is a cancerous tumor of some sort. I don't know, and there's no way to tell. At his age, it's about 7.5. He's considered an elderly rooster, as a large rooster for sure. It's just like dogs. Most really big dogs don't have as long a lifespan. And most roosters don't. There are exceptions, but most of them don't live that long. Don't live as long as my friend Lady Hawk's rooster, who last time when she died, the rooster was 12 years old. I mean, that was insane. But anyway, I can't do anything about that. There's nothing I can do. I've been giving him soft food, and there's really not much else I can do. I think this is not boding well for him, but that's what I've discovered, and I think that's what is causing him to act like he can't swallow well. So, to the subject of the video. Gosh, this battery's got a bad life too. It's already half gone, and I just charged it. Okay, one day I'll get off my duff and buy me some more batteries, or what do you call those things that you plug in and they keep going? They're like an ever battery or something. Anyway, the title of the video, a little at a time and then all at once. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. Somebody said, "Well, how did you lose all your money? How'd you go broke?" A little at a time and then all at once. It's like suddenly it came in fits and starts, and then boom, I was broke. And how did you gain so much weight? A little at a time and then all at once. How did you lose so much weight? A little at a time, and then sometimes with the carnivore way of eating, you can say a little at a time and then all at once. Which actually I lost like another couple of pounds surprisingly. And yeah, I was kind of shocked. I am actually at a weight as low as I was 50 years ago, before I got married. See, when I graduated high school, I was 5'5.5". I'm not now because I had osteopenia and fractures in my spine and blah blah. It's a long story. Bone thing, and that comes from taking Synthroid for so many years. But yeah, I graduated high school a year early. I was 16 years old when I graduated from high school. At the time I graduated from high school, at 5'5" and about a half, I weighed, let's see, 27 pounds heavier than I am now. And of course, I gained further than that later in life. In the 90s, when my thyroid malfunctioned and I wasn't aware of it at the beginning, because I didn't really get sick a lot, so I never went to the doctor. I mean, I didn't get sick. So I was only at the doctor every once in a while, maybe for an annual thing. And I didn't get sick, so when I went to the doctor and said, I don't know what's going on, I can't lose any weight, tested my thyroid, and also my fingernails were peeling up from the beds of the fingernails. And she goes up and she tested the thyroid and said, well, they basically told me I hit the magic number. Before I'd been borderline, now I hit the magic number so they can medicate me. But see, even having hypothyroidism, the weight does not just fall off. I tried eating the same way everybody does, the way that they always recommend, which is 100% wrong. Low carb, not low carb, low fat and low calorie. Neither of which works or is good for your health. But that was the standard thing that they always recommend. Eat more fruits and vegetables and whole grains. No, the whole grains did me in. So anyway, I tried all that stuff for years and years and years. Of course, my thyroid was working against me the whole time. But I just, you just can't eat 500 calories a day and still not lose weight, which it was happening to me and didn't make any sense. I couldn't figure it out. But I should have thought about when I lost weight right after high school, because I went on that, the Stillman diet, before Atkins, Maxwell Stillman. It was mostly low carb, high protein way of eating. Had a few differences with Atkins. He didn't recommend the higher fats that Atkins did, and Atkins did not die of a heart attack. He fell and hit his head and got a hematoma. He did not die of a heart attack. I don't know why people keep lying about that. That's not what happened. But I'm not going to talk about diet. But the thing is, when I gained the weight, I did gain it a little at a time. And all of a sudden, I looked on the scale and went, oh my God, that number, I can't, I'm within 2 pounds of a number I don't want to be at. So, that was the lifelong journey of doing that. Going from one thing to another, and none of them work. All it does is make your body stressed out because it's seesawing. And then I started thinking, wait a minute. And so I tried to do Atkins for a while later, and I don't know what it was. It just wasn't working for me the way I thought it should. That was back when I wasn't thinking of healing. I was thinking of weight loss only. I was eating such a low-calorie diet that when I went on Atkins, which is much higher protein and fat and not in higher calorie, calories don't matter. Calories are heat. Calories don't make you gain weight or lose weight. Calories are just the way some people, they measure the heat units. Your body doesn't burn calories. It uses fuel. It doesn't burn calories. It either uses your carbohydrates and your sugars they're eating, or it uses your fat. And there goes my battery again. Oh my goodness. Let's hope this battery's the good one. I'm just too cheap to buy battery packs. The battery packs that keeps it going. I guess I'm gonna have to look into that because this is getting to be irritating. But as we were talking about, calories don't matter. Calories are heat. Calories it's a misnomer. It's just not something you should be worried about. You should be worried about nutrition and inner healing. And of course, the little at a time and then all at once. Sometimes that's reversed when you change this way of eating. Sometimes it's a lot at a time, and then it's a little at a time. As you get closer to your normal weight, and it regulates. But anyway, there's a lot of so that little at a time and all at once can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. I tell you the way it's a bad thing. The country turning Marxist. How do we get to this place? We keep asking ourselves, how do we get to this place where all of a sudden it seems like we're a socialist country? A little at a time, and then all at once. And the all at once to me has come within the last decade. And that's the way it seemed, especially ramped up the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. It's crazy. But another thing it can be applied to, little at a time and all at once, is preparing for things. We are about to go into World War III. We're kind of already in it in a way, and there's no way we're going to avoid it with that Chinese plant in the White House, and we're not going to avoid it one way or another. We're going to be at war, and more of our men are going to be killed. But when you prep, people, there's a lot of naysayers. I can't do that. I can't afford to do that. Did you buy a coffee out? Did you eat at a restaurant? If you did, the answer is usually yes. If you did, you wasted the money. You should have bought a prep item with that. But it said you can do it a little at a time. The way we fence this property on very little money. A little at a time. A few posts and a row of fencing at a time. Pretty soon we're around the whole 2¼ acres that's the main part of the property. A little at a time and all at once. It can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. It's the syndrome of you stick a frog in a pan in a pot of cold water and you turn the heat up slowly, and it doesn't notice how hot it's getting, and next thing you know, he's boiled. He's done for. That's kind of like what has happened to our country. So a little at a time and then all at once. Don't let anything sneak up on you. These people are letting things sneak up on. Apparently, it snuck up on people in the government while they were playing and getting elected to sit up there and do this to each other. Talk, talk, talk. It's all I ever hear is talk, talk, talk. How about a lot less conversation and a lot more action? So a little at a time and all at once. Prepping, you can do a little at a time if you have to. What's the one thing you bought this week that if you hadn't bought that, you could have put some food aside? You could have bought seeds for next season. What have you done that you didn't have to do that could have gone to prepping? I have seen that all the time. I can't pay my bills. And then you find out they're going to restaurants, or they're dropping by Starbucks on the way home and grabbing a $6 cup of roasted wood chips. That one thing, $6 can buy you quite a few cans of food, depending on where you buy them. And if you'd prepped about 2 or 3 years ago, you could have bought a nice can of Keystone Meats, which is just meat and sea salt. You could have bought a can of beef, Keystone beef, for $6.50. Now you're going to have to pay over $10 for that same can. See, you skipped that, and you wasted time, and now you're going, well, I can't afford that now. You could have 3 years ago. Did you buy any? No. You've got to take care of the preparations for bad times. You know, I talked about, on the last video, I was talking about how will you live without electricity at all? What's going to happen to you if all of a sudden, the middle of the day, your lights go out? And then you realize that your car won't start, and everything is dead in your house. Every piece of electronics is dead. You can't go to the store to get food then, and it's too late. You know, I think Steve Smith he proposed something. He said, well, what if you had 30 minutes? What if you had warning of an EMP or CME 30 minutes ahead of time? What would you do? What's the first thing you would do? And so I had a headache that day, and so the first thing I did was the first thing I did was plug in my solar. Well, Steve said something like, well, you might want to wait to plug in your solar until, you're sure until after that happens. Well, I asked my husband, I said, is the metal cabinet that we have, our charge controller and our inverter, our 3,000 watt inverter, and all our batteries, it's a metal cabinet outside, and it's metal from start to finish. And I said, is that going to be a Faraday cage, enough of a Faraday cage for our equipment? And he said, well, I don't really know. He said, they say you can make a Faraday cage with a metal trash can, lined metal trash can. And I said, well, why don't you research that a little further? Because we've gone to all the trouble to get all the solar components and have a nice working small solar system, and I would rather it not be fried unexpectedly. So he said, well, I said, well, maybe we should just turn everything off. He said, well, an EMP or something, he said, that's going to fry all electronics, whether they're turned on or not. He said, that doesn't matter if they're turned on and working at the time. So I don't know how much, he's researched that a little bit, and I said, research it some more. I don't like being unprepared for anything. Now, I could live without it, except the worst sticking point would be my well pump runs on electricity. If I don't have solar to run the pump for a while to fill the diaphragm, we're kind of screwed because the well is not close enough to the house to use a hand pump. I don't believe. I think that'd be some heavy arm work, which I can do, but I don't think he can. So, a little at a time. Do it a little at a time. You can lose that weight a little at a time. You know why? It's not about weight. It's about healing and good health, internal health. That's what it's about. And if it's a little at a time, that's okay, as long as you're doing it. My husband's not really losing weight right now. And he said, I just can't. He said, my weight's holding about the same. But he said, but my belt, I'm tightening my belt more and more. Something's happening. My pants are looser. I said, it's your body reshaping. He has a lot of health problems that he has to heal from the inside out. I don't have those. All I have is hypothyroidism. I don't have a lot of health problems. Oh, a limb fell or something over there. Scared me. A lot of falling limbs lately. So he had more healing to do inside. So I said, well, your body's healing. If you feel your body reshaping, that means something's happening. Doesn't matter if you see it on a scale or not. And I would not advise you to get on a scale too often. I hardly ever get on a scale. Because the number on the scale used to be a trigger for me. Ladies, this is for you. A number on a scale used to be a trigger for me. If I had gained a couple pounds, I had this feeling of desperation. Oh my God, I've got to get stricter. The problem is, I was getting stricter in the wrong ways, and it wasn't going to help. And it ended up, it triggered me into gaining more. So I don't even really look at the scale very much. Not long ago, I looked at the scale. And, well, I guess I'll check it out. I feel like I'm fairly thin today. I'll check it out. And when I checked it out, I'd lost 5 pounds. I went, wow, okay. I haven't lost pounds in 2 years. I've been eating the same way, and I've been feeling okay, but I haven't lost any actual weight. I hadn't had any trouble maintaining it. So I thought I was doing pretty good. Because I was a lot thinner than I was in high school. And I had been about 5 pounds heavier than I was the day I got married at 19 years old. But all of a sudden that 5 pounds was gone. And I thought, wow, okay. So something's working in there. It took a long time. Things are healing. Things are getting back into alignment. All the switches are being clicked back into the places they're supposed to be. And then this morning, I felt my stomach when I woke up, and I went, that feels pretty flat. Hello. That feels pretty flat, almost concave. I thought, well, I'll weigh myself today and see if I'm gaining back, because I just hit that one low number, and I thought, yeah, it'll bump right back up, because it was just probably a fluke. I lost 2 more pounds. I went, I haven't been in this weight range, this 10-pound weight range, since I was 17 years old. It's been 50 years since I've been this weight. 50. That was after I lost a lot of weight on Stillman as a teenager. I lost 35 pounds in about a month. I recently saw somebody who gained 35 pounds in a week because they just pigged out. They blew it again. You know what? When you feel like this, when you realize how it's working for you, why would you blow it? I don't want to go back to what I was, but it's a good preparation. Health is a prep for the future. It's a prep for hard times. I lift weights. My husband has degenerative disc disease. I can't go say all the time, can you go get all that feed out of the car? A lot of times I'll do it. I'll take the big old Rubbermaid lawn cart thing, for sure. Pull it out of the, pull it, I can, most of the time, I can pick up one bag at a time and take it to the barn and put it in there. A 50-pound feed bag. But usually I have a couple of 50-pound feed bags and 2 or 3 bales of shavings at the least. And I'm not going to make 15 trips back and forth to the barn, so I just get the wheelbarrow. I put it from a cart in there, I'll roll it down there, and it stops outside the door, and then I have to one at a time take those things into the barn and put them in the cans that preserve the feed, or just the shavings, set a bale on the floor. So yeah, I can do that, see. I can do that because I lift weights, because my shoulders and my arms and my upper back are very strong because of what I've done. Do you think that happened all at once? I've been lifting weights for years. When I was 30 pounds heavier, I was lifting weights because my life is such that I need to have strong arms, a strong upper body to do the things I need to do. And now that my husband is worse, I really need to be healthy. I'm going to have to be calling in people from somewhere else to come put feed bags in my barn for me. And I don't want to do that. So my sons have lives, and I can't depend on them to take care of mine. So, because they don't depend on me to take care of theirs. So I want to return the favor. Anyway, a little at a time and all at once. You can prep that way. You can lose weight that way. You can gain your health back that way. That's the most important thing. And when your health is actually back, when you really have glowing internal health, your weight is going to regulate itself properly, whether you need to gain or you need to lose. My very good friend right now is very, very thin. She's a very small person. Lady Hawk was a very tiny person, but she had hyperthyroidism. She had the kind that makes her lose weight badly. And then she developed a heart problem. So she was extremely thin. The first time I met Lady Hawk Smith, she was in person. I mean, we were friends on the chicken forum for years before she actually visited me. The first time I met her, she was in one of her downturn periods. She weighed 79 pounds. She was 5'2". 79 pounds. My current best friend is trying to gain weight. She weighs a little more than that. She weighs more than that. But she has a lot of health problems. And all her health problems, she's trying to resolve all the health problems and heal inside. Once you're healed inside, the weight's going to regulate itself. Trust me. And it will reshape, the body will reshape itself, redistribute fat and muscle. When your body is healthy, it will redistribute, even if the scale does not move. That has happened to me. I tried a little bitty button-down sweater on the other day that I wore last winter. And I went, whoa, this is loose. Why is this loose? No, it wasn't this loose. And I had another one in a size smaller. And I tried that one, and I thought, well, that fits better too. Something must be happening. So it was that thing that made me yesterday morning, when I felt my stomach was not pooched out, I went, I'll just weigh myself and see what's going on. So, but don't get into the habit of expecting to weigh yourself every day. That's my suggestion. Do not weigh yourself more than once a week, or don't even do that. If you've got a lot of weight to lose, I think let the healing begin. Don't be sucked into the current study that somebody put out and all the mainstream media is jumping on, saying, oh, red meat causes type 2 diabetes, because it is the opposite. If that was the case, if that was actually true, everybody in the carnivore space on YouTube will be screaming about how their blood sugar's gone up and their A1C is rising. Instead, it's usually, a lot of people cut it in half by eating only meat. Animal proteins, not necessarily beef, but beef, lamb, goat, animal proteins. Chicken is less good. It's got too many omega-6s, and it doesn't have enough fat. And I've completely lost my taste for chicken. I don't like it anymore. It's got to be beef or something else, and I don't even like fish. So it's beef and eggs, basically, for me. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, some pork. But anyway, prep can be done a little at a time. And then the all at once part comes when you go, wow, look at my pantry. I am stocked up. Let's just keep going. But you get to a point where you think you're at the minimum and you're good. It's like, oh, I've got a year of food. I need to keep going. And you know how you got the year of food? You didn't go out and buy it all at one time. Now, I bought a half a cow, which was, a little costly, not per pound though. All at once, the big amount that I had to show up with was more. It's more difficult for other people, but the per pound cost was less than $5 a pound for every type of beef that came off that cow, any cut. Sirloin steaks, sirloin roast, brisket, ribeye steaks, cube steaks, fillets, beef fillets, everything was less than $5 a pound. But before that, we were buying canned meat. We were stocking up on other meats, buying them a little at a time. When we finally bit the bullet and found no antibiotic, no hormone, grass-fed beef we could buy, I said, we better do that. Now we've got enough meat for probably a year for the two of us. And we'll do it again next year. And the farm just called, actually, to ask have we eaten any of the beef, and do we still like it? And my husband said, it's great, best beef I've ever had. So see, doing things all at once sometimes can save you some money. But You can lose weight. You can gain weight. You can gain your health. You can prep for hard times. You can go broke, or you can save money. Anything. A little at a time, the all at once may be just that, oh, look how much I have now. That's the all at once. So that's all I want to say. And I know it's been too long now. I just want to get off of there. But I wanted to talk about that little at a time and all at once thing. I thought that applies to so many things. So many things. Positive things, too. It can apply to negative things. Like, how did you gain that much weight? Well, a little at a time, and then boom, there it was, all at once. All of a sudden, I'm 150 pounds overweight. I was 150 pounds overweight myself, but I could have been. Anyway, I'm gonna go. That's enough. And thanks some good thoughts for Bash. Old age is one thing, but I don't like them having problems that I can't even dream of fixing. A tumor in the throat is very bad. So let's hope it's just a benign cyst and it doesn't keep growing, so that it actually blocks off his airway and his throat. So catch y'all later. Have a good day. Bye.